What is up, you incredible human beings? This mindset mistake cost me millions and millions of dollars. It's dumb, it's stupid, and I'm going to share it with you today because I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did or the same mistakes that I did. And I made these for years and years and years, and they held me back in a really, really big way. So in this video, I'm going to run you through like what is this big mistake, how you can fix it really, really super easily, and like looking at the root cause so that you can fix it, you can fix it permanently, and you'll be like infinitely more successful. I have no doubt that if I didn't make this mistake, JCF would have been like 10 times the size of what it is right now. That's my coaching company. We would have been so much bigger, so much more impactful, and we would have been doing such a cooler job than what we are right now. And even though we're doing some really, really cool shit, we would have been like 10 times the size if I knew this. I'm going to share it with you because I hope that it helps you out. I think it's going to make a major difference for you. If I was told this back when I first started, like back for like 5, 6, 7 years ago, things would have been completely different. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, I'm James Cant. I'm the owner and founder of JCF Coaching. We're a strategic and performance coaching company, and we help men make way more money, have way better relationships with their partners and with their kids, and also have a way, way cooler life while doing so. So in this video, I'm going to run you through exactly what you need to do and like how to avoid this mistake. So the biggest thing that I used to do is I used to be super, super risk averse. I used to be like really, structured. I'd never go out on a limb. I'd never back myself. I would never, ever take a risk. I always chose the safe route. And it worked pretty well for me for a little while. Like it got me to like this level. If I go back, 5, 6 years ago, I was running a business. We were making like, we're making around 500 grand a year at that stage. And things were going pretty good. Like I thought things were really, really quite cool. But I was capped at this limit. And every time I went to try and like grow the business or make it go past this limit, I could never get past it, right? We're running shitloads of Facebook ads. I was hiring employees. I was doing like everything. I was working massive hours of the week. I was just talking to my team actually about it today. I used to like wake up like 4:30 a.m. or so. I lived with my housemate at the time, Troopy, awesome guy. And I'd be like in my undies on my computer, grinding away on the couch. We had a couch that looked like the casting couch. If you know, you know. And so I'd be sitting on the couch and he'd get up and go to work and he'd see me there. And then he'd come back at like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'd still be there in exactly the same place in my undies, and I'd be like stuck to the couch, right? And you have to like peel me off. I don't know if you've ever seen The Simpsons. There's that episode where Homer's like stuck to the couch and they have to like full peel him off, and there's this like skin and dent is on the couch. That's exactly what it was like. That was my life. And I was grinding and I was working my ass off. And I was just hustling. And you know what it's like when you're working really, really hard, and you're not making the gains that what you'd like to, you kind of gets frustrating. Like there's this mixed feeling of like frustration and like self-doubt and like fear and all this sort of stuff. And then what ends up happening is like when you're not making the progress that you'd like to, you're not ascending as quickly as what you'd like to, you start like having like major fear of expansion and doing more things. And my biggest thing was like, I wasn't bold. I gave way too many fucks. I wouldn't go out and I wouldn't hire mentors. I wouldn't throw more money at stuff. I just like really constricted. And I had this idea. It's like, okay, I'm turning over 500 grand a year. I must have at least 50% profit and I must hold on to all this money. And so like I started to like almost like hoard it and like hold on to it and not want to spend it in the growth of the business. And really what it was is like I doubted myself and I didn't believe myself and I didn't back myself. And a lot of guys get very, very similar with this in that we get this feeling that we're not good enough or somehow we're not able or capable of achieving the next level. And the biggest mistake, mistake number one was not being more bold. If I had my time again, I would be outlandishly bold. I have a friend by the name of Andrew. I won't reveal his full name, but I have a friend named Andrew who is incredibly, incredibly bold. And this dude, all he does is just take risks over and over and over again. Very, very calculated risks, which he knows exactly how it's going to play out. But he makes big moves all the time. And recently, it's allowed him to make a hell of a lot of money. And the difference between where I was and where Andrew was that Andrew would study, find out exactly what he wanted to do, exactly where he wanted to be, exactly what he needed to do in order to get from where he is right now to where he wanted to be. He'd go through and he'd just take action and find, he had this really, really cool motto, which is stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Which is he would go and find the person who is the best at what he wanted to be good at and he would go and learn from them, take all their knowledge, and then go and implement it, and was just like growing exponentially faster. Whereas me, on the other hand, I wouldn't do that. I wanted to find it my way. I wanted to do it all by myself. I didn't want to go out and spend the money. I was worried about spending money or partying with money, because what happens if I left? What if I lose this money? What if I don't get it back? What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if it fails? I had such a big focus on the negative side that I forgot about the massive amount of positive that could also have came from it if I just took a little bit more of a risk. And that's going to be the biggest thing by far, being bold. See, when we're bold, we're able to do incredible things. And if you look at who gets paid the most, if we want to make more money, if we want to have more success, we want to create an empire and create something that our kids are proud of, create something that our partners are proud of, our friends are proud of, our family are proud of, we've got to do things which are exceptional. And you can't do anything exceptional by acting common. The common way that people think is the way that I was thinking. It was by not taking a risk. It was by doing the same old, same old. It was by working really, really hard, but not really smart, not looking to innovate, not looking to learn, not looking to stand on the shoulders of giants and utilize other people's knowledge for us to like dramatically increase. And if we think that way, we're going to get the same results. I mean, like, let's look at this. Let's look at like the average Australian, right? The average person who is going to maintain being average throughout their whole life. They're very, very risk averse. They won't be bold. They won't back themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They won't push themselves to achieve way more, right? They won't stand on the shoulders of giants. They display ego. They want to do it by themselves, or they're worried about parting with money. There's all this fear about losing, fear of failure, fear of all this sort of stuff. Being bold counters all of that. And whenever we're bold, we're able to step past that fear, because in order to be truly successful, we need to, right? We need to step past fear. And I wish that I learned this years ago, because I would have been many, many, many times over more successful. In fact, if I could go back to my like 21-year-old self and teach him a few things, here's what I'd teach him. Number one, fear is always going to be there. It is normal to experience fear. It is normal to experience anxiety. But the difference between someone who's normal and someone who's exceptional is the person who's exceptional doesn't listen to fear. We take on fear. We acknowledge that it's there. We acknowledge the risk. We know that something could go wrong, but we back ourselves and we believe in ourselves, so we go for it anyway. Step number two, I would stand on the shoulders of giants way, way more. I remember I was thinking back then I was really, really good. And I still remember this. I was sitting in the office of a dude who had a massive marketing agency, and he was absolutely crushing it. He was making $20, $30 million a year. Big, big money. He wasn't old either. He was quite young. And he was sitting in there and he was just trying to help me out. And I still remember sitting in there being cocky as fuck. And he was asking me like, what are your margins like? How does everything go? Like, what's your cost of acquisition? How are you going to grow the business? All this sort of stuff. And I was sitting there saying, oh, bro, look, I got so much money. Like, I don't know where to spend it. Like, it's all just coming in. I don't know how I'm going to grow. Like, I've just got so much money. Like, really bragging about how much I was making, because I was 20 odd making 500 grand a year. And I still remember looking back, like, as I look back on that now, I remember thinking, geez, you cocky, arrogant little fuck. Like, you got this dude who's actually crushing it, who wants to help you and who can help you, but you're trying to say, oh, I've got this all by myself. And that is like one of the dumbest things I think anybody can ever do, is say, I have this all by myself. I talked about on the weekend, we ran an event called Abundant, right? And I talk about and Abundant, what it's about how we can help our dudes who are in our circle, how we can help them make a shitload more money and have a lot more free time to do the cool stuff they want to do. It's a heap of really dope stuff we do there. One of the things we talked about was a friend or a person I knew who had self-made tattooed on their knuckles, right? And they were a business owner, entrepreneur. They were going quite hard, and they're making a couple $100,000 a year. They're doing quite well. But they had this big thing about being self-made and never receiving like any help from anyone. Here's the thing about being self-made. First of all, right? You're conceived by two parents, a mother and a father. They made you, right? You are not self-made. Second of all, you got self-made tattooed on your knuckles. The ultimate irony of this, Steve Coops, one of our coaches, pointed this out, is that someone had to tattoo self-made onto you, right? We always need other people, right? If you got self-made tattooed on there, well, you can't tattoo self-made onto your knuckles. Well, you can, but it'll look pretty fucking shit, right? What we need to do is we need to utilize other people. We need to stand on the shoulders of giants and work with other people so that we can get a much, much better result, right? Think about going it alone as trying to tattoo self-made onto your knuckles. Maybe you'll get the side with your dominant hand. You'll write that on okay, but the other side will look like shit. It'd be way better if you got someone who was an expert to go and tattoo self-made onto your knuckles, right? You get the irony on that one? So no one is ever self-made. Stand on the shoulders of giants and be bold in asking for help. Be bold in reaching out. A lot of the time we don't reach out and we don't ask for help because we have arrogance and ego and insufficiencies, feelings of insufficiency. I remember when I was young, one of the reasons why I started our business is because I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to show to everyone, hey, James is a big shot. He makes lots of money. He's got a really successful business. That was one of the things that I wanted. I wanted the status of business. And I felt that by going and asking for help, I was somehow going to reduce or lessen my status. It is the dumbest fucking thinking ever. If you think that reaching out for help makes you weak, it is stupid. Reaching out for help requires you to be able to be vulnerable. In order to be vulnerable and admit that you have a problem, you have a fault that you need to work on, that is the ultimate sign of strength. If you look at people who are the weakest in the world, the weakest of the weak, they are the people who try and act tough, right? People who try to act tough, act like they know it all, like me, 21-year-old me. Think of that guy who blew millions of dollars by doing this, right? You try and act tough, try and act like you know it all. That is when you're at your peak level of insecurity. Whereas on the other hand, when you're willing to be coached, when you're willing to be mentored, when you're willing to show that you have deficiencies or problems which you don't know how to solve by yourself, and you can open up and you can talk about that and you can have someone who actually helps you through that and helps you be better, that is the ultimate sign of strength. And was one of the things that I had to learn. It was a very, very hard lesson because I remember watching this as I had this business which sat on 500K for a couple of years and it just didn't grow. It just wouldn't grow. I kept working my ass off. I kept sitting on that fucking casting couch all day long, working really, really hard. And it just wouldn't grow. And the only time it did grow was when I put down my ego, I dropped it down, I went out and asked for help, and then bang, all of a sudden turns into a multi-million-dollar business, right? And I still spend, right? Last year I spent $300,000 on mentoring, just learning, just being better. Because I acknowledge that whenever I have a problem, if I get it fixed, everything gets way easier. Stand on the shoulders of giants. And the third and final thing, don't fucking hesitate. So often we see so many people who are so fearful. I did this big time. I was so fearful about taking risks. I was so fearful about backing myself. I was so fearful about making this business grow and going harder that I just didn't do anything. I was just paralyzed. I just stood in the one spot and didn't change anything. I was so fearful about reaching out for help. I was so fearful. And so I got into this stage of this great Australian saying, which is, she'll be right, mate. Where whenever we have a problem, instead of doing something about it, we say, she'll be right. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And I kept fucking saying that about the business growing. I kept saying that about not having enough profit. I kept saying that about not being in the position that I wanted to be. And I kept being apathetic towards it. Apathy is the killer of dreams. I want you to write that down. Apathy is the killer of dreams. Whenever we're apathetic to a problem, whenever we hesitate on a problem, we don't go and fix it straight away. You are one step further away. You are one step backwards from where you were before every single time you give up on that. Because every single time you give up on a problem, a little bit of you dies. Every single time you give up on a problem, a little bit of your motivation wanes. Every single time you give up on a problem, someone is one step ahead of you. And that's the thing we've always got to remember, is that if you're not stepping up to the plate, if we're not stepping up to the plate, someone's going to lap you. That was me. Andrew, my friend, lapped me massively, smoked me, absolutely smoked me. Why? Because I was hesitating, because I was apathetic, and because I wasn't bold, right? I wasn't bold. I didn't back myself. I didn't get the help that I needed to get. And that's what I need to do. If I can employ you guys to do anything, don't make the same fucking mistakes that I did. Because if I knew now, how often do we say this? If I knew now, right? So I knew when I was 20, right? What I know now, how much further ahead would I be? And let's think of this the other way. If you're thinking like that, if you think, right, the knowledge that you have right now, if you put that into yourself from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where would you be? Let's think about this. What if you had somebody else who was 10 years ahead of you? And what if you got them to give you all the knowledge that you needed? What if you got them to fix all of your problems? What if you had their strategies, their tactics? Where would you be? You'd be much, much further ahead, right? Way, way further ahead. And this all starts with fear. If we can conquer our fear, we can win. And if you get stressed out, if you get anxious, if you get fearful, I've got something for you, okay? And what I want you to do is just comment down in the comment section, fear, right? Big capital letters, fuck fear, right? comment down in the comment section, or if you're watching this on another channel, just click the link and the learn more, the sign up link, and then I'll shoot you across the video. All right, what it is, I'm going to shoot you across a full training. It's going to take about 20 minutes, and it's going to run you through how the nervous system works and how we can utilize this nervous system to beat stress, to beat anxiety, to beat fear. All right, absolutely conquer it. Okay, so just comment fear down below. Because as long as fear is holding us back, we're never, ever going to achieve our full potential. As long as fear is holding us back, we're never going to reach the level of success that we would like to. And as long as fear is going to hold us back, it's going to stop us being bold, and it's going to cost us millions of dollars. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. I'm making this video. I'm giving you all this stuff for free so that you can crush it, so that you don't do the same dumb shit which I did. It's a really funny thing. Like there was a stage where my net worth got to a certain level where I wasn't so worried anymore about increasing that net worth, but it was almost like this weird thing where I want to go back and I want to show as many people as possible how, actually not as many people, the right people. I want to show the right people how to not make all the same fuck ups that I did, and show the right people how to be infinitely more successful than what I was. And there's something which is really, really satisfying for me about that. There's always been this inner desire of mine to go back and teach and potentially teach business one day. There's a few things that I want to do that in that way, but I really want to save you this one massive mistake, right? So just comment fear down below. I'll shoot it across to you. If you can't comment, then and there's an opportunity for you to click on the link. Click on the link. I'll give you across this full training, which would show you how to beat fear, stress, and anxiety really, really easily, because it's going to make you millions. And I know that this cost me millions, but as soon as I changed and as soon as I shifted out of being this state of not being bold, of being fearful, of hesitating, of sitting in my problems and not standing on the giants, trying to be self-made, right? The sooner I just got instantly more successful. All right. On that note, guys, I'll leave you all to it. Please if you're the right person for this, if you're someone who wants to be motivated, someone who wants to absolutely dominate, someone who wants to crush it, and you don't want this mindset mistake that I made to hold you back, you don't want it to cost you millions like it cost me, comment fear down below, click on the link. I hope it helps you guys out. I'll speak to you all soon. Have a wonderful evening. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got something out of it and you want to learn more, click the link below or type in High Performance Conversations with James Cant, and you'll be able to check out all the podcasts that we've done. We cover a stack of different topics, everything from getting your mojo back, overcoming anxiety, self-doubt, self-esteem, and learning from some of the industries and some of the world's top performers in both business and in health. Look forward to having you on there.